we're going to get into the playoff picture. A lot of crazy things happened in Week 18. The final week of the season, the extra week of the season, proved to be actually a great success for the NFL in terms of entertainment value. We saw an absolutely ridiculous Chargers-Raiders matchup that almost ended in a tie. And I think 75% of the NFL's fan base was rooting for a tie. So the Pittsburgh Steelers would miss the playoffs, but they're in. They have to take on Kansas City. Philadelphia, they're going to have a hard time in their playoff matchup as well. And I think Philadelphia is one of them. I think Pittsburgh, obviously the third wild card are going to be your biggest surprises. But Joel, what were your biggest surprises of this playoff picture?
I'm not going to lie to you. Like at least a few weeks ago, I did not think the Philadelphia Eagles would have a chance at making the playoffs.
Yeah.
I didn't think they would. I thought Dallas would be running away with this division, which they did. But then again, it's like Nick Sirianni, who I think is a good coach. There was been complaint that he wasn't utilizing the run game. He wasn't utilizing, Miles Sanders. He was relying on Jalen Hurts to be the running back, the quarterback, just like everything. Jalen Hurts started and ended with this offense. It was a strictly offensive pass scheme game plan for majority of the season, which eventually started catching on. It started getting better. So I am very surprised by the Eagles. And, I do believe that they are going to be some underdogs in these playoffs because, we talked about it before. Like, I understand that a 7th seed, they're facing off against defending Super Bowl champions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I don't know. Like, we've been hearing some little rumors around here saying, like, who knows? Like, this might be a surprise matchup because the Buccaneers, they haven't really been playing all that great in recent weeks compared to what they used to. I understand it's kind of weird saying Tom Brady hasn't been playing well, but in Tom Brady, Tom Brady hierarchy, you look at his previous matchups, it's like, I don't know. There's kind of questions here and there, especially with the receivers. Chris Godwin's now out. You're not going to have Godwin anymore. So, I don't know. I feel like the Eagles may surprise some people, but, I mean, if I had to say there was any surprises, it would definitely be the Eagles. I mean, also, I feel like the Bengals surprised a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because you see in the beginning of the year, some people had this team as a 4-win team. At best, a 4-win team. They thought that they were in a very difficult position, especially in their division. With the Ravens, no one could have predicted their injuries. Steelers, obviously, they made the playoffs, so that's another surprise there. But
they found
Cleveland Browns, yes, and Cleveland Browns, who, if it wasn't for injuries and COVID issues, they probably could have been where the Bengals are right now. But the Bengals, I feel like they're here mainly because they remain healthy, and Joe Shiesty managed to catch the eyes of everyone around the NFL and reminded everybody why he was the first number 1 overall pick. So, I mean, Bengals, Eagles, there were several surprises, I thought, especially in these playoff predictions.
This is a pretty good bracket from what I've been able to
see. It really is.
I think we're in store for great playoffs, and this bracket is something that I feel like we haven't seen in a while. I think that the third wild card makes everything just so much more interesting. Usually the surprises aren't at the top. It's usually somewhere in the middle. But I think Tennessee holding on to the 1 seed is quite the surprise, even without, they were missing Derrick Henry. They had, Ryan Tannehill is decent at best. I think Deontay Foreman had a great year. He really stepped in.
Good backup.
Yeah, he's great. He's a Texas guy, unfortunately, but he's a great player. That offensive line also had a great season. They just maul people with ease. So there's a lot of running backs that could have played well. Adrian Peterson scored a touchdown. Don't know why they cut him. Would have loved to see him play a few more games on the Seattle.
I thought he was fine. I thought he was solid when he was on there.
Yeah, I guess they realized Derrick Henry was going to come back, and the roster spot just isn't up anymore. But Adrian Peterson, obviously, we know the MVP years, but he's getting up there. But Tennessee, they're a good team. I think that they're a really great team, but I don't think they're better than Kansas City. I don't even know if they're better than Cincinnati at this point. So there's going to be some surprises, I think, with Tennessee after they come off that playoff, that bye week. I think that there's a very good chance that they do not make the AFC Championship game, depending on who their matchup is. So maybe even the Raiders, I feel like, have a good shot against Tennessee.
They have a great shot.
So I think that's also one of our other surprises, that with everything that the Las Vegas Raiders have been through, I still can't get used to Las Vegas, but
I call them Oakland from time to time.
yeah, I feel like I'm probably going to call it that at some point. But
it's like San Diego Chargers.
yeah, the LA Chargers, sure. At least the Chargers have been in LA before, but even the Chargers missing the playoffs was a bit of a surprise as well. I think Justin Herbert has a great future ahead of him, but if Coach Staley doesn't call that timeout, they're in the playoffs and they're playing not Kansas City. The Raiders would have played Kansas City. I believe that they would have played Cincinnati, or New England, or Buffalo. One of them. They would have been.
I'm not so sure. Like, honestly, I was watching this game, and the first person to blame is Brandon Staley for calling the timeout. I get it.
Yeah.
At first glance, I had a few days to think about it, and then I kind of realized something that made no sense to me as why they were getting zero blame for this. You ask yourselves, who was the reason why the Chargers ended up losing this game? The defense allowed 35 points.
Yeah.
So it's like, the offense did their thing. They scored 32 points. They scored 30 plus. But like, if you don't allow 35 freaking points, and to begin with, we wouldn't be in this position. We wouldn't be relying on running out the clock and hoping for a tie. We just win the game and it'd be over with.
I mean, same thing with the Raiders, though. They gave up plenty of points as well.
Yeah, they did. But, well, they're the ones that ended up with a victory here.
Right. They gave up the same amount of points besides the field goal.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and, Justin Herbert going, what do you get? Like 3 4th down conversions or something like that? It was insane.
It was 4th and 10, I believe 4th and 10, 4th and 12, 4th and 14. The Chargers.
There was a
first and that.
There was a 4th down pass that he missed, and then they called holding.
Yes.
On the defense.
Yes, I mean, it was very clear holding, but
yeah.
Raiders defense, I guess their 4th down defense is not something to really be happy about.
I know.
I think a lot of it also had to do. I mean, the Chargers receivers did not show up to play that game.
That's
true.
The
Raiders secondary isn't anything to be too surprised about. And again, Las Vegas or Los Angeles, just they didn't have the talent. Obviously, Keenan Allen is a top 10 receiver in this league, but he can only do so much. So, I mean, Vegas just had the best of him that day. Austin Eckler wasn't the fantasy monster that we all expected him to be. He got hurt a little bit.
I didn't even see him. Oh my god!
Yeah,
that whole game.
It was all Justin Herbert. I feel. The Chargers have had their injury issues. I mean, every team has injury issues, but they're not in. I don't know if I can say that they'll be in next year, depending on what their situation is and what they're able to do in the draft. LA not getting in.
I feel like it's just going to be dependable on how competitive their division is, because they're in a really tough division. I don't think Vegas is going anywhere as long as Carr is still there, and they're getting. I feel like it's a roster that can only go up. Patrick Mahomes is on a 10-year contract; he's not going anywhere. And Denver is going to have a new head coach. I mean, they're a bit of a dumpster fire at times, but they're one of those. I feel like they're on the come up, though.
Yeah,
I feel like they're a little bit on the come up.
When you fire Vic Fangio, you're on the come up. I'll say.
Man, there you go.
But getting back to the playoff picture, really, let's kind of go into who our dark horses are this season. I know you kind of mentioned Cincinnati a bit. I feel like you might go there, but I'll start with you because I have an interesting one.
Okay.
Who is your playoff dark horses, if you want a few?
Now, you're right, somewhat.
Okay.
I did have the Bengals for a while, looking at all the dark horses, because I told you, I said, if anyone is going to win the Super Bowl, it's going to be someone from the NFC. I was like, it's going to be somebody from the NFC. I was looking at everybody, and I thought to myself, you know what? All these teams make sense. All these teams would obviously, in clear view, be the odds-on favorite to win a Super Bowl. But then I thought to myself, you got to think of dark horses here. So I'm like, never doubt Bill Belichick.
True.
You're not going to doubt him. And even though they got a rookie quarterback, they still managed to go 10-7 with a all-star defense, Pro Bowl defense. You're looking at Matt Judon, who everyone kind of knew was a good signing. Everyone knew that was going to be a good sign, but no one could have predicted that he'd be in top 5, top 3 candidates for Defensive Player of the Year. Like, I mean, he's been insane. This whole defense has been insane. You see, like, J.C. Jackson excel into the corner one that everyone knew he was going to be. And they face Buffalo here in the wild card. I could see them beating Buffalo. And then most likely they would end up facing Tennessee or whoever the winner of Bengals Raiders would be, or Chiefs Steelers.
Depends if the Raiders are able to win or the Steelers.
Yeah, it depends. It all depends
on seeding. But assuming
the seedings get confusing every now and then.
Yeah, let's assume the high seeds win.
Assume the highest. But if in fact the Patriots do end up making it past the Bills, once they make it past that team, I could see them going all the way to the Super Bowl.
Probably.
It's potential, man. It's potential. And it's like, you think to yourself, it's a rookie quarterback. They're not to coexist with all the receivers. You got Nelson Aguilar, you got Jacoby Myers, you got Hunter Henry, all guys that for the first time are working together. And it's like, how can we make this work? They managed to make it work.
It is working.
So I would not doubt the Patriots here. I really wouldn't. Once they get hot, there's no stopping them.
And let's assume that, let's say Vegas goes on and wins. The Patriots could get a home game if they play them.
They could.
So it can go a lot of ways here. Now that it's good that you pick the AFC because I'm going to go with the NFC, the stacked conference that it is. So far, you've got Tampa. I feel like there's a team that snuck in. Nobody even mentioned them before Week 18, the San Francisco 49ers, the forgotten squad, who have a ton of talent, a great running game. Deebo Samuel is electric, and their defense isn't half bad. I mean, I don't think it's really reliable enough to win a championship, but it's one of those teams that can get hot enough, and they're playing Dallas in round 1, and we all know the Cowboys.
That defense is the majority of the reason why they've been winning so many games recently.
Yeah. I mean, their defense is, it's one of those defenses that got hot, right?
Yeah.
So you might look at the roster. That's what I meant. You might look at the roster and say, oh, this defense is okay. But to me, they're one of those teams that just, they're hot right now.
Mm-hmm.
They just got a great win against the Rams in overtime. And they've proven they can beat a team like the Rams, who I think is a good pick to lose in round 1, honestly. As much as I want the Rams, or I predict the Rams early in the season, they're a team that I can see getting upset. You look at San Francisco, they can beat Dallas. I mean, I don't think Dallas has looked that amazing, besides obviously the 50-point performance. But even before that, they had a bit of a struggle. They didn't look as good. San Francisco is a team that can beat them. We'll see the health of Jimmy Garoppolo going forward with his hand, but he showed even with that hand, he can still play pretty well. And Eli Mitchell, fantasy god, has
been amazing.
Really, he's proven to be a solid running back. So
he's been really good.
I think that's a team that needs maybe one more receiver. IU can step up, and I think they've got the pieces to go far. I'm not going to say they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I think they can go far.
I think I read a stat the other day. They said Eli Mitchell was one of 6 running backs in the league this year to not have a rushing fumble. He never fumbled. He didn't fumble. I think it was on like 150 snaps or something like that.
I think carries. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I do like the 49ers. I was hesitant to say them only because I wasn't exactly confident on their quarterback situation.
True.
Jimmy Garoppolo, he's been injured for a while. He came back, and I believe he played last week. I didn't watch that game.
He did.
So
he played with a very injured hand, and he still played pretty solid. He threw 2 picks, but he did the job. He's done this before too.
He has done this. When you say 2 picks, it's like, Jimmy.
But he's made the Super Bowl. He's brought a team like this to the Super Bowl.
It's true. And it's like, I do like this matchup for the 49ers too, because the Cowboys, they do have the best record in the NFC East. Well, that's not something to brag about, really. But
I mean, you gotta win what, 8 games, 9 games?
Yeah, you go. But no, like, looking at Cowboys as the 3rd seed, you look at them in recent games, even though they've won a few games here and there, Dak hasn't really looked all that impressive.
Neither is Ezekiel Elliott.
Neither is Zeke. It's like, and it's not like, he's throwing 3 picks or nothing. It's just he can't get anything going.
Yeah.
I think out of like 3 of the 4 like games that they recently played, Dak, like I think it was the 50-point game that you were just talking about. He had like 300 plus yards or something like that. And it was like, yeah, they played really well, but it's not like you were exactly playing a really good team, though.
It doesn't look impressive at all.
And that only happened the week before Amari Cooper called him out and said, yeah, the offense hasn't been doing so well. Dak's got to improve. And then he improves for the one game. He says, like, okay, I got to shape up. And then he comes right back the next week. And it's just like, I don't understand what Dak Prescott are we going to see in these playoffs here. That's going to depend on what happens in this game and what happens when he reacts to this defense. And if this defense gets hot, then yeah, I could so see the 49ers upsetting them. I don't even think it would be considered an upset, to be honest with you.
It wouldn't be an upset, but the fact that it's such a tight conversation, I think it's more of a speaking point to the Dallas Cowboys and how, I mean, we all love to say that they're an accident waiting to happen, but it's how it's been. I mean, obviously,
it's just how it's been.
CeeDee Lamb is phenomenal, but how good is he going to be in these playoffs? They said he would never see the playoffs, but he did. He is in the playoffs, so that meme is dead, unfortunately. But the Cowboys, they are in. The Cowboys are in the playoffs, and they got to play the 49ers. And I think the 49ers, I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it right here. Dallas will lose in round 1 to San Francisco. How about that?
I'm riding with you on that. I'm not confident in them. I'm really not.
I'm not completely confident in it, but I think there's a really good chance. I wonder what the odds are for this one.
Oh, I'm not good with that, like the over under things or something like that.
I know what it means. I at least know what it means.
But yeah, it's the plus minuses. I'm not exactly good on those betting terms. Well, but I gotta imagine it's a pretty tight conversation. I mean, I feel like Cowboys would only be favored just because they're the 3 seed. That's the only reason why I could see them being considered favorites.
But San Francisco, they have a shot. I think everybody else, if you pick them, there wouldn't really be much of a surprise. Besides, maybe
what about the Steelers?
As much
Big
as
Ben,
as much
one
as
last hurrah.
As much as the story would be phenomenal, it'd be great if Big Ben carried the Steelers to one last Super Bowl, even a playoff win. Honestly, if for my people who know football, Dan Marino's last game as a Miami Dolphin was, I believe, it was a 62-7 loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars in the wild card game. So, not all legends can go out on top. I will say, even Dan Marino couldn't do it. Couldn't even get a ring. I blame the Dolphins team. Dan Marino didn't give up 67 points. Okay, 62 points. But
I do like the fact that neither of us mentioned the Green Bay Packers.
I mean, they're the ones.
Just because I feel like we both know that they're going to lose in the NFC Championship.
Man, it's just routine.
That would be hilarious if they lost. If they lose in the NFC Championship game again, that'd be so funny. I'm sorry, that'd be so hilarious.
It's like waking up in the morning. The Packers losing in the NFC Championship to Tampa Bay.
It just happens. What happens, man.
We can have a situation where I guess San Francisco plays, or depending on what seeds win and lose, you would need Philly to win, I guess, for this to happen. San Francisco could play Green Bay. Actually, no. If San Francisco wins, they'd be the lower seed. If Philly loses, they would play Green Bay.
Right.
We all saw what happened last time. Eli Mitchell could do a Raheem Mostert. We will see what happens in the playoffs, but
true.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we will see what happens over there.